Okay, it is now the top of the hour, so let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to today's webinar. Today we're going to be delving into the power of storytelling and content marketing and its unique relevance to women in the legal profession. So just a few housekeeping matters before we get started. This webinar is being recorded and will be made available to you shortly after the presentation, so there's no need to take notes unless you'd like to do so. And in the event that you're having any issues with the audio or visual components of this webinar, please just go ahead and use the raised hand feature in the GoToWebinar control panel, or you can type us a message and we'll get that resolved for you as quickly as possible. So my name is Drew Mancini and I am the Digital Marketing Manager here at LawLytics. I have a background as a marketing consultant for solos and small law firms in digital marketing practices as well as branding. And now I continue to enjoy helping to make marketing more accessible and enjoyable for attorneys by really helping to create those resources that ultimately work to demystify those successful marketing practices. And joining me today is our VP of Product, Rachel Chalot. Thank you, Rachel.
Thanks for having me.
Rachel worked as a criminal defense attorney before she joined LawLytics in 2014, and today she focuses on building tools that eliminate the unnecessary marketing burden on solos and small law firms and allow attorneys the freedom to focus on what matters most. So if you have any questions for us throughout the webinar, please go ahead and type them in the chat and we will get to those at the end of today's session. So if you are a solo attorney or if you're part of a small law firm team, the act of storytelling can be one of your most effective tools to help you stand out in what is now a pretty crowded digital landscape. And for women in law, the power of storytelling has a unique relevance to women that can help you to connect with potential clients on a deeper level and ultimately strengthening your brand and driving engagement. So today we're going to be showing you how to develop those compelling narratives that resonate with your potential clients' needs, aspirations, and challenges, and the most effective content formats to convey your stories authentically and effectively. And then ultimately, we will be discussing common mistakes when it comes to achieving consistency across various marketing channels. So to start us off, let's talk about the power of storytelling and talk a bit about why it's important to your firm's marketing strategy in the first place. So it's likely that you already know that storytelling can be a very impactful marketing tactic. However, it can often be overlooked in the legal field because we often get caught up in the practice of displaying our expertise to potential clients and showing them what makes us so qualified and showing that social proof that other clients have found us qualified, et cetera, et cetera. We're really obsessed with that aspect of our marketing. And this really makes sense because you're petitioning yourself to someone who's probably stressed out and dealing with a legal issue that they likely haven't dealt with in the past. So it really does make sense that you're pointing to your accolades and your successes and essentially your resume of what makes you the best choice. However, that being said, people who have not worked with lawyers in the past, or maybe don't have any personal relationships with lawyers, they're really only working off of those secondhand accounts of lawyers and essentially working with rumors to shape the perception that they have about law firms and lawyers. And unfortunately, the negative anecdotes are going to be those that get the most traction and that stick in people's heads. So storytelling is really just that great way to help show the human side and the real personality between you and your firm and make that connection. And that's what brings me to my first point here, which is how storytelling helps you communicate the how for your potential clients. So again, a lot of people who have found your website haven't necessarily ever received legal help before, so it's very likely that they don't really know what to expect and what's going to happen and how they're going to get to that other side of the issue that they're experiencing. So your website content and other marketing content can really support your potential clients in this phase and really just give them a peace of mind by illustrating either by that specific example of a case or just a general example of how you handle your cases for your clients. And what this is really going to help with is providing a nuanced understanding of how you plan to go about navigating and resolving their personal challenges and their legal issues in a way that sets you apart from your competition and provides that unique perspective. And as a result, the great thing about storytelling for this benefit in your marketing is that you're going to be able to make an instant connection with that potential client, and you're going to be able to reduce their anxiety about the situation. And then you're going to be able to show that you're the most competent attorney for your case. All of this leading up to your increased chance of converting that client. Another benefit of storytelling in your marketing is going to be that it helps you to get to the root of what your potential clients care about. And your potential clients are going to care about different types of things depending on your practice area, right? So maybe for a divorce mediator, their main motivation as a client is going to be how can they resolve their divorce without going to court or prolonging the process with extra legal interference. And so your marketing should really reflect your ability to achieve that for your clients. Or if you're someone who is a severe truck accident injury attorney who handles really big cases with really big payouts for your clients, your storytelling needs to reflect how you are aggressive and will fight for every dime, just as an example. So again, having those things like the statistics and those accolades and all those hard proof to point to of your success, those are all very helpful. They are definitely helpful to have on your website and in your website content. But when a potential client can read a story and essentially put themselves in the shoe of that other client that you helped in the past, you can meet them more where they're at and more at their core of what they care about and just build that relationship much quicker. And then finally, let's just talk briefly about the benefits of storytelling for the simple fact that it helps us retain information better. You can definitely go to lengths in your marketing showing how in numbers, again, that you've achieved desired results for your clients. But the fact is that people only retain maybe about 5 to 10% of that information that consists of statistics alone. So when on the other hand, when they hear a story, they're remembering much more information, about 65 to 70% of that information. So that means that while statistics and hard evidence certainly has value in your marketing, again, it's really going to be those storytelling instances that are going to connect you with the potential client much quicker. And creating this connection ultimately helps you build the necessary trust much quicker and also strengthens your brand identity. Because if someone is able to recall this information about you quickly or even at all, that means they're also remembering who you are and who you help, which is actually one of the most important indicators of successful marketing. In this next part of the webinar, we're going to hear a bit from Rachel about how you can start crafting these compelling narratives for your law firm's marketing.
So when we see the patterns of traffic to a law firm's website, we constantly see, over years now, we've seen the same thing. Your visitor enters a law firm website, they consume some content. Let's say it's practice area content. We just talked about just divorce, truck accident. We might read a page on that particular matter, but then we see this bounce and it's to the attorney's bio page. And then maybe it's back to the home page. And then maybe it's to some results, but we always see then maybe a bounce back to the bio. The attorney bio page continues to be, no matter how people are coming into law firm websites, that bio page continues to be, and we see this across practice areas. It doesn't matter who your clients are, sophisticated business where your clients are CEOs, entrepreneurs, criminal defense, it's always that bio page, we always see it in the top, and that's because whoever your web visitors are, they're going to be very interested in your origin story. And like Drew said, sometimes I see attorneys have a tendency to conflate an origin story with almost a resume, or saying like, well, I did the family law clinic in law school. Lots of people did. Why did you do it? Why did you choose? So it really is, your origin story is getting to the why. And again, there's a lot of things we all had to do. We all had to do 3 years of the American Bar Association's required same courses. We all had to pass the bar. You know, there are a lot of things where we can't really differentiate ourselves, but I think there's a lot of missed opportunities in how we can differentiate ourselves. I did the family law clinic in law school because I grew up in the foster care system, and this has always been a passion of mine. Children, juveniles, dependency, delinquency has always been, you know, a passion because of my particular thing. If you had a unique path to the law, you know, I joined the Marine Corps and then pursued law school afterwards, and I chose to focus on, again, just really thinking of, it doesn't have to be the most compelling thing. You don't have to have, you know, been an Olympic champion. You don't have to have served in the Marines. You don't have to have had like a harrowing story of being in the foster care system, but something that really is unique to you and lets that visitor feel that little bit of your personality. Like we said, it's not that they're going, they're reading the bio and they're leaving. They might be going, they read your bio, then they go back to your page on divorce. And they've kind of, now they're thinking of, okay, I'd be doing this mediation, I'd be doing this process with, you know, Drew. And now I know who Drew is. I know a little bit about her. I feel this connection to her. And they're sort of evaluating in their minds, what would this professional relationship look like with someone that I now feel that I know a little bit more about, and can add that color to my decision whether or not to engage her legal services. And challenges that you've overcome, both in your career and or for potential clients. Like Drew said, you know, it's putting yourself, you need to be in the shoes of what's going to happen. I have a legal process in front of me. I might know a lot about that process. I might know next to nothing, but I know that I want the best outcome, whether it's for me, my business, me, my family, me and my criminal matter. They want the best outcome, and they want to. Another thing we see, you know, again, is a really big focus on reviews and testimonials. And that's something that, you know, you need to, as an attorney, need to gather from satisfied former clients, but there's a ton, that's not the only source of that information. There's a ton that you can do to fill out those stories and tell those stories. Give color, you know, instead of just saying, I represented Drew, she was charged with aggravated assault and DUI, it pled down to reckless endangerment or something like that. Giving the color of, here are I represented a client who was in these circumstances. This is what we were up against. This is what we did. You know, this is what I did. Like, what pled down? You know, is it just that it turned out something was, you know, a violation of the Fourth Amendment, evidence couldn't be admitted, so you just kind of lucked out? Like, really adding that color of how something you worked with your client to overcome a particular set of circumstances. Or again, if there's something more personal to you and your career path, an obstacle that, you know, you've overcome, it's something that you can weave into your story. And of course, what should always shine through is your values, your mission, and your why. We're going to talk about consistency in a little bit, but I think having a clear understanding of what these are, and not just, you know, in the back of your mind, but actually having this articulated somewhere. As if you do entirely your 100% of your own marketing efforts, so you're creating all your copy, still having that clear frame for, if I'm doing something as kind of, you know, posting a meme on my social media account, or something as I'm writing a long form blog post about an issue that's really relevant to my area of law, keeping in mind clearly articulated values, clearly articulated mission, and a clearly articulated why, and threading that in as you're telling these narratives. So for example, if your part of your mission is we represent clients going through divorce and we put children first. So we do everything, we go through mediation, we do everything in a way that minimizes conflict. That is what's most important to us, to our law firms, to our clients. That's something that you can thread in, no matter how you're presenting your firm and what way you're communicating with your potential clients, it's something that you can keep at the forefront and keep it coming through. And again, that should always be part of your story. Even when you're writing something like there's a change in the law, your county's got a grant and is doing family group decision making before any divorce proceeding, and you're just writing about what that is, what's entailed, again, drawing that back to your mission, your firm's values. Say this is something we're thrilled to have in Carbon County because we believe these types of programs really help children who are in the middle of a divorce proceeding. It's always something that should really shine through in any of your marketing communication.
Thank you, Rachel. And I do love the point of how you just got to think about it as that path that Rachel was describing when people go on your website. It's like maybe they're starting at your attorney bio, but then they're jumping here and they're jumping there. The impact of storytelling is really just giving that client so much more context about you and about your experiences and about your motivation for serving clients that's going to actually touch every other piece of information that is on your website. And so that's why it's so impactful and is great for that piece, but then it actually has impact for the rest of your content. Now that we've talked a bit about storytelling and the importance of it and how to get really started crafting compelling narratives, I do want to get into next some effective content formats for storytelling. And the first way you can get started is by using client success stories. So these can be in a couple different formats. So for example, you can share compelling narratives of past client experiences and focus on the challenges they faced and how your firm helped resolve them. You can also use the client's own words for this, so using client testimonials for this, which, as you may know, those are a little bit more challenging to use because the narrative is already created by the client themselves. But I've also seen attorneys take these client testimonials as kind of their starting point for then elaborating on it and writing a longer and more descriptive blog post about that client's experience. So just a couple ideas to keep in mind when creating those client success stories. But essentially, by highlighting real life examples and this really allows your potential clients to get a better understanding of how your firm actually operates and the outcomes that you're able to achieve. But also at the same time, you are humanizing the legal process, which will help instill a greater confidence in your firm's ability to handle an issue that might be similar to that potential client's. Another great opportunity for storytelling is partner profiles and case studies. So as Rachel had mentioned, a lot of the times, the first place people are going when they visit your website are those attorney bios. And if you've never really given much thought into how you can be optimizing this page beyond just being a static bio, this could be a really exciting opportunity to get into this. So a partner profile and case study is kind of a combo situation where you have a case study showcasing individual experiences and expertise or a unique approach to solving a legal challenge, along with a specific attorney profile so that the potential client has the opportunity to connect the attorney on or connect with the attorney on more of a personal level and kind of put themselves in the shoes of the clients that they've represented before to feel comfortable in hiring you as an attorney. So it's kind of a combination of having this is the attorney, this is kind of a situation that they have handled successfully. So it puts the potential client in the shoes of that other client. And as an added benefit, of course, the case studies help provide those more detailed insights into specific legal matters and ultimately demonstrate your firm's capability and strategy in action. Another popular area of written content on a law firm's website is, of course, going to be the blog section of your website. But you can take this into the realm of storytelling by developing a more narrative-driven blog post or other piece of content. So rather than just focusing on more technical aspects and legal jargon, you can bring it into storytelling. So for example, if you had a blog post about what you need to do after you're pulled over for a DUI, you can instead take that and instead of focusing on more of the technical aspects of that scenario, you can incorporate storytelling into the blog post by providing more context about the scenario, illustrating key concepts, and also offering practical insights that will resonate with your potential clients on a deeper level. And then all of this ultimately enhancing their understanding and also the retention of the information that you're presenting. And it doesn't have to just be for topics that you normally write about. You don't necessarily have to translate all of these into a storytelling context, but you can also create different types of narratives around relevant legal topics or even current events or industry trends. And ultimately with the idea that you're creating content that's more relatable and engaging for your readers. So you don't have to have a narrow path for this. It can be achieved in a lot of different ways and in a lot of different areas throughout your website. And then now we're going to take it back to Rachel, who is going to give us some do's and don'ts that are relevant to storytelling and content marketing.
So for things you absolutely want to be doing, the first thing we advise is keep a bank of story ideas. So keep your part of your brainstorming brain brainstorming at all times. This can be just your ideas. This can be inspiration you're getting from other places, inspiration that something like ChatGPT or an AI tool helps you out with. There are the information moves so quickly now, and things come into the zeitgeist and leave very quickly. And being able to capitalize upon that when something is coming, something is trending, and you have a unique perspective to offer on that topic, this can be a great way to keep yourself flexible and nimble and to be able to jump on things. And second, maintaining a consistent narrative. So we need to think really broad about this. This isn't just on your website. This is how you present yourself, your firm online across every platform. And if your name is associated with your law firm, which many in the solo and small space are, and you have anything that has your name on it and your personal views, that is all. You have to think about that on that same plane. So an offhanded sort of social media, one social media post, that might be the first or the most interaction a potential client has ever had with your firm. And you want to just make sure that that tone, the voice, the values that we talked about earlier, it's coming through. If you are the firm that prioritizes children's mental health and well-being as part of your divorce practice, posting a meme that is a little bit more, cutthroat, take down your ex, isn't going to be consistent with that narrative that you're telling, the way you're positioning your firm. So it's always just something to think about. Measure your effectiveness. And this is something that we've seen it. Attorneys struggle. We all struggle when we have a brilliant idea. As especially someone who writes, who creates content, we see ourselves in that idea and we can become very attached to it. It's so important, I cannot emphasize this enough, that we measure how effective these things are by getting some feedback. This doesn't have to be anything extra that you do or anything formal that you get from your clients, though that is, of course, the best source. But you can also just get opinions from other people. And I think one example that I remember early in my tenure at LawLytics was we had an all-female criminal defense firm. and they specialized in particularly heinous kind of crimes. And in their site design and everything visual in their content, they wanted to really portray a gravity, that this was very serious, that they were tough, that they said like take no prisoners was, you know, again, part of this strategy. However, at the time, there was a very popular children's tween teen media series that happened to be very similar to their branding. And whenever we saw the site, when we would show it to a couple of people not familiar, you thought of these teen novels. It just was, you know, again. And so it's something to get perspective. If you can talk to your clients, that's great. If you can talk to other attorneys, if you can talk to just other people, again, this is a website, you want to hear from visitors. Is this message effective? You know, and I think the most effective way of doing this is having someone with fresh eyes. So they don't know what you're going for, they don't know what your brand strategy is, and just say, hey, you know, give it an amount of time to look at this and then step away and just say, what are some adjectives you might use to describe my firm or me or our practice or what we do? Because it's really important that you understand whatever you've put together, how that's being communicated and how that's being perceived by visitors to your site, by people who are viewing your social media or your videos, those types of things. We just want to make sure that you're coming across effectively and you're, you know, you have your finger on the pulse of what people are seeing when they're interacting with you. And what it's really important to avoid are certain things, you know, here we have the first one is not losing authenticity. Like I mentioned, things can come into the zeitgeist and leave the zeitgeist. You know, with the color palette we have here on this slide, there was a particular, you know, I don't remember the hex code, though I did know it, of Barbie pink that was really, we saw it a ton on social media last summer. You know, if that's something that you want to incorporate into your brand because it's part of your strategy, it's part of your palette, it's always been. But again, if it's something that you think, oh, this seems popular, I'll just, you know, I'll exaggerate this part, or I'll, you know, again, I'll relate it to my firm in a way that just doesn't feel authentic and doesn't feel genuine. That's not what we mean by, you know, capitalizing on something that is trending. That's sort of when you're forcing something, and the same as if you're exaggerating something or, you know, trying to emphasize something that just isn't connecting or sharing in that genuine way, that again gets back to the core values and the core mission of your law firm. And then next one here is do not forget your audience. So what you're always speaking to your audience, and when we see attorneys sort of forgetting who they're speaking to, forgetting their audience, we can see this in you know, a number of ways. There's the perception level of your audience. So if you're talking about something that is more technical, a lot of legal jargon, breaking it down and getting to the core of what does this mean for me? If the law is going to be changing, if penalties are going to be changing, if there was a diversion program and they're taking that away, what does that mean? You know, again, making sure that you're connecting with how your audience is perceiving the information and the way you're framing information. If you feel passionately or not passionately about something, keeping in mind that, but how will your audience feel about that? It's not just you, it's not how you feel about something, it's how your audience is going to react to this particular information that you are, you know, you're communicating around. So always, you're not communicating, and the vast majority, you're not communicating to your peers as attorneys. You're not communicating to the general public. You're really not. If whatever your piece is, if I'm a DUI defense attorney and I'm writing a piece about, you know, diversion court, I'm writing to people who have been charged with a DUI, maybe a loved one was charged with a DUI. So always keeping in mind that they are where they're coming from and how they're going to perceive your content, and that is something that you want to convey with even down to your word choice. Those things really matter, and your tone when you're covering something like that really matters. Even if you're, a celebrity got a DUI, we see a lot of those that can, those can be trending, they can be, but again, this is a, when you, and not being flippant about things, understanding that, there are people who are struggling with substance use issues, and making sure that that's coming across, no matter what topic you're covering, no matter what medium you're covering. You're remembering who's consuming this content and where they're coming from. And the last one here is, of course, we don't want to forget hard data and evidence to always back up, your points. Stories can be amazing, and like Drew, like you said earlier, we see many studies where when we are actually communicating facts, data, and evidence, but we add a storytelling component or a personal component, people have better recall of those facts, data, and evidence. But we don't want to lose that in, again, if it's something we're very, very passionate about. Let's say, again, just going to go with my diversion court. Let's say my county had a diversion program and they're getting rid of it, and I'm very upset as a criminal defense attorney, and I write a blog about it. I don't want it to just to be my feelings. I really like drug court. My clients really like drug court. You want to show that nationally we see when diversion programs are in place, we see impacts on recidivism. We see impacts on these things, meaningful things to communities. Not letting, again, we always want to show that foundation for holding a strong opinion. Again, when you're communicating appropriately to your audience, that's great, but you always want to back that up with why you have this particular view. So you don't want to let storytelling get in the way of neglecting that data and your evidence.
Absolutely. And I love this transition into, we're going to talk about some very specific, very applicable storytelling examples in legal marketing in this next section. But before we do, I do want to just double down on Rachel's point about sticking to authenticity in your marketing. I think for a lot of attorneys, you guys didn't study business or marketing, and a lot of this you're just kind of learning on the fly, which is totally okay. But it is a big challenge to kind of come across as you're running your own law firm and doing a million other things. And so when you think about, well, how do I get started in marketing, and what is storytelling, and how am I going to actually apply this? It's natural to just look to successful examples and then copy paste. And that works for a lot of scenarios, but it's just important to remember that even if something is trending, if it doesn't fit into your brand identity and what you're trying to communicate and portray for yourself, then just skip this trend, because there will be another one in a week or a couple hours. So just don't feel pressured to try to fit into whatever's popular, because chances are something is going to come along that actually fits perfect for you. So getting us into...
And I get it. I dyed my hair brown. I once dyed my hair brown because I had a client tell me, I'm not going to go in there and sit next to Lizzie McGuire. This was many years ago. Because what he was saying is, you don't look like you're going to go in there and fight this DA on my behalf. And I was so, I took that so much that, do I need to color my hair so that I don't look to Lizzie McGuire ish? Again, something very inauthentic that I didn't feel comfortable doing, but I just thought, is this what the people want? And I'm going to portray myself in this way. And no, that wasn't, again, it was just a very artificial box that I was trying to fit myself into. And then I just reminded clients, if that came up in the future, well, you're charged with a violent crime. You're going to be sitting right next to me. You're going to be sitting right next to that jury. They're going to see Lizzie McGuire feeling so comfortable and snuggled right up next to you. Like, you don't seem like a violent person. Lizzie McGuire would never sit next to a violent person. This is going to be great. This is going to be, again, sticking with that like core authenticity in a way that makes you feel comfortable when you're doing your job and when you're communicating your message.
Yeah, absolutely. What makes you unique is never going to be a weakness. Figure out how to make it your strength and your superpower. Absolutely. Okay, so for these following examples, I'm going to show you three. Again, these are super basic. They're super applicable because I want to give you examples that you can do today or tomorrow or anytime. So this first example is a LinkedIn newsletter that an attorney has created. This one is a little bit older, but in this LinkedIn newsletter, she gave a personal anecdote. And these are really popular that I see a lot where it kind of starts very dramatic and gives that immediate hook, but it's written casually, it's written often line by line, so it's like chunked up and easy to read, very accessible formatting. But really, the reason why she wrote this is that something happened to her that could have happened to other people, or they might be inspired by. So she's writing about a post that she wrote on LinkedIn that went viral. So that's the hook. It's like, hello, I went viral, and people want to know more. So this is just an example of how she kind of took a scenario that happened to her, made it extremely relevant to what she does, which is practicing law. Former managing partner of an insurance defense firm, but she's now retired. So just taking it, something that happened to her personally, but then making it relevant to what she does every day, and then also giving that kind of inspirational spin of this could happen to you, and like, let's work together type of thing. So in her story, I won't show you all of it, but um, the direct aftermath of going viral was that she was reached out to by a bunch of people who also wanted to like work with her, get some advice and things like that. So while this wasn't directed to potential clients, this was more of a reach to her network and to kind of encourage people or inspire people to reach out to her and build her personal network. So that's just one example of ways that you can kind of take something that happened to you but make it accessible to the masses. Example number two is by using video. And I really loved this attorney's example of using video. I'll show you a few seconds of it.
Good day, everyone. Attorney Chelsea
as you can
Wilkerson
see,
here.
This is filmed on her phone. It's filmed vertically. She added some captions to it, as well as a still graphic design. The way that this is filmed, it's very current, it's very relevant, it's accessible, it's casual, and if you were a potential client, you wouldn't be intimidated by this. You would be interested in maybe learning more. And she's explaining a very simple concept, which is just how we settle cases outside of court. So not only is she being informative, but she's also advertising how they settle cases out of court. So if that was something that you were interested in as a potential client, that sounds good to you and you want to learn more. So just another example of something that you can do. She's literally doing it while she's walking out of court. It doesn't have to be a huge video production. It can be 10 seconds on your phone and you do a little work to it and then it's ready to go viral on YouTube.
I'm actually noticing advertisements like this online. You're seeing it from big brands. These are huge brands who have completely have the deep pockets, have a much more sophisticated type of advertising medium, but this is exactly what you're seeing. You're seeing a person who probably isn't 100% glammed up. It's not a recognizable actor, even though, again, big brand, they could get somebody like that. But that's that feeling of like, hey, I'm a busy mom, or hey, I'm an ultra runner, and it's that film, like, you're catching me on my phone. This is me. This is authentically me that you can relate to. This is my natural environment. So like you said, like, this really is current. We're seeing this with across the board. You're getting that, it's that very personal, really feels, again, even with a big brand, this is all, but it feels so authentic. And I think this is a great example of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like she's just totally broken down the barrier, and the point is just kind of to feel like you're on FaceTime with your friend. And of course, you would rather hire your friend as an attorney than a scary stranger. So just a different way to connect with a potential client. And then I will skip this. And then our last example is a little more formal, but it's helping to paint a picture. So what this attorney has done, she is selling, or she sells a variety of guides and like ebooks and everything that go along with her legal services. She does IP law, not IP. What am I thinking of? Where you have to protect like logos and things like that. What is that, Rachel?
No, I think, yeah, copyright, intellectual property.
Okay.
I think,
Intellectual. Okay.
you got it. Yeah.
Got it right. So what she's done in this post is go beyond the legal. So she's finding the why for the potential clients that we were talking about in previous slides. So she's relating her advice to herself and to her values. So she's talking to people who have their own brand. And she's like, what if instead of focusing on just the aesthetics of your brand, you are shifting your perspective into this? And she goes into, again, this is very casually written. It's broken up into easy bits to just for readability. And this is a post that's done on LinkedIn. So takes very little time. It doesn't need any fancy formatting. It doesn't need any fancy graphic design or anything. This is just a way that she is using storytelling to relate her advice to herself and to her values and help the potential client or the reader put themselves in the scenario where they are being convinced or encouraged that, hey, I really do need her legal help on this, and I do want to take my brand further by doing XYZ, whatever she's advising. So just some easy examples that you can implement for yourself. Okay, so your firm's website is the foundation of your digital marketing strategy, and it's going to be that place where you're going to be doing all of this amazing storytelling. But having a high quality and modern website is going to be that first step to getting to that storytelling point, but also targeting your local ideal client more efficiently and affordably. And that's what's going to anchor your marketing efforts as you strive towards growing your business. So now what you see on the screen here, we have released an instant firsthand look of what your new website could look like with us. It's a new website design tool where you can go and browse various layouts and customize the site to your firm's branding and colors. You can toggle through different image options, whatever you would like to play with. You can get a real-time feel of what your new website could look like using this design tool. So I'm going to drop a link for this in the chat if you would like to check it out and have a look around. And then just for these last few minutes, I'm going to take you on a quick tour of some of the features of our tech that I think attorneys benefit the most from. So I'm going to take us out of here for just a sec. And then what I've taken us into here is our dashboard. So we're in the back end of LawLytics. This is what members see when they have a website with us. This is kind of their landing spot for where they can go to make any additions or changes to their website. So we've actually just given this a little bit of a facelift within the last couple of weeks. And basically, the purpose of this page is to give you a bunch of shortcuts to various things that you can do to your website. So for example, you can jump straight to your content library, get into your SEO snapshot, make a new blog post, case result, look at some of our new blogs, things like that. And then to actually get into the content of your website, you just go under sites. If you had multiple websites with us, they are all going to be listed under here. But just to get into one, immediately we are brought into the back end of our website. So what's on the left here is basically the navigation bar that's on your website, up top usually. And then on the right is the content that's on that page for every tab we click. So just to show you what this looks like on the front end, this is an example of a law firm website with us. This is just a sample site, but if you notice, this is the navigation menu I was talking about that was showed on the left side of our backend. And then you have things like your top image, maybe you have an image scroller for your own website, some information about the firm, practice areas. We do clickable icons for these that bring the web visitor to that practice area page, a contact form, and then some more information about the firm. So bringing us back to the back end, as you saw, all of this is the navigation menu. So say that you wanted to make a change to this. Maybe in the past you would have to call up your website developer and request that they move something in your navigation menu. It takes 2 or 3 days, yada, yada, yada. But here, all you need to do is just click that piece of your navigation, drag it up to wherever you want it, and then paste it. And then once you click on your website again, it'll be rearranged for you in an instant. So that's a huge time saver and definitely one of our favorite features for our attorneys. One thing I did want to show you is our our forms, which are customizable. So on the front end, I'll show you what I mean by forms. So any form on your website is going to be something like this. It's going to be where your web visitor is putting in their information in exchange for whatever you're offering. So maybe it's your newsletter sign up, or you're asking them to fill out the information so you can contact them for a free consultation. Whatever it is, you can create various types of these forms using our form builder. And what these are really great for is that you have your beautiful website, you have all of your storytelling, you're encouraging your clients to that they are needing legal representation for their matter that they're going through. And then the contact form is really there to support all of that work and give them a very easy way to reach out. So when you're creating a new form with us, it's really easy to do. All you need to do is really give it a title and intro text and maybe a response message. If you wanted to redirect them to a certain URL, you can also choose that option. And then to customize any form fields, all you're going to do is complete all of these different forms. Maybe you want to rearrange them, or maybe you want a contact form that's very straightforward with just a name and email, or maybe you want to know a little bit more information from the client before you have them submit their information. You can get really creative with these and also very straightforward with these depending on your needs. But what I really love about creating forms this way, though, is that you can assign a recipient. So if there's someone in your office that is dedicated to handling any sort of intake for your firm, you can just click their name here, and you can guarantee that when the form is submitted on their website, it's going straight to that person, and then it can get dealt with however it needs to right away. And then you can also have it connect with your case management system, which is super helpful for keeping everything organized and streamlined and making sure that you're not missing anything when a potential client is submitting their information. Another thing that I will show you all is how to create a new page of content using our content library. So this is, oops, I'll go back in here. This is a newer feature for LawLytics. This is the content library. So basically what we have here is over 320 topics across 20 practice areas. And these are all professionally written pieces of content that are optimized for search engine performance. So just to show you a direct example here, say you are a business law attorney. You can go into the business law category. You can browse through all of these different practice area topics. We also have a quick way to message us to request a topic if you don't see one that you would like to write about. We are constantly building on this library. It's kind of an ongoing project for the foreseeable future, the end of time. This is constantly being built up, but just I wanted to show you an example of how you create a page. So let's say you needed a general parent page for your business law practice area. This is what is an example of what that piece of content could look like. So on the left, we are given all of the ways that this piece of content has been optimized. So for example, it has over 10 link opportunities. It has optimized subtitles. It is that parent page. So it's going to be that base for building off of all of your other content from. And then it also helps you establish your law firm's brand. So that's all the ways it's been optimized on the left. On the right, we have all of these fields that are in blue, and that's what we're going to be customizing in the next step. So once we fill out those fields, they will be automatically updated on our right. So once we use this template, as you can see, I have customized a piece of content in the past and actually saved my entries. So if I were someone who wanted to create several pages of content for my business law practice area, I would only need to fill out these customizations one time. And then when I go into the next piece of content, this is already filled out for me. I'm saving a few steps here, and then I'm ready to complete my customization in my final step. And then here, we are brought back to that backend that we are familiar with from a few minutes ago, and we customize our title. We can figure out where we want to nest this page on our website. And then from here, we have a lot of options to customize our content. We can obviously add or take away any sort of written content, but we can also add pictures and video, any sort of widgets or additional click-to-call phone numbers, anchor links, tables, grids, lots of things that you can do. And if you're familiar with any sort of word processor, you're likely going to be very comfortable with working with this. So that's just a little bit about how you can create a piece of content using our content library. But I just wanted to show you an example of what this would look like. So say we were happy with it and we were ready to publish, this is just what it would look like on the front end. And we have our handy contact form on the right there. So that is just a little of the back end of the LawLytics dashboard. Of course, there's a ton that we can show you. So if there was anything that caught your eye that you would like to see a little more about, or if you had any questions, you can ask us here today, or there's all these ways to get in touch with us later on if something comes to mind. But that will be the end of our presentation today. I want to thank Rachel so much for joining us today, and I want to wish you all a happy Women's History Month. We've got a few days left of it, so enjoy, and thank you so much, everyone.